Picture a poor boy shivering in a freezing Bristol home, sketching supercars on scraps of paper because he couldn't even dream of a new coat. That's James May, the man who'd later drive a $1 million Ferrari on TV. How did a shy, bullied kid, scolded by his father to stop dreaming big, become a millionaire with a London mansion and a $40 million fortune? What made him walk away from Top Gear at its peak, just to stay loyal to a scandal-plagued friend? And what's the secret behind his vintage car garage, where each vehicle tells an unexpected story? The journey of Captain Slow from darkness to glory will leave you stunned. Don't miss this video, because this story isn't just about luxury, it's about a heart that never gave up. James May now lives in a $1 million mansion, driving supercars around the world. But who'd believe that as a kid? He was a poor boy in Bristol, sitting in a cold house without a decent jacket. How did a timid, overlooked child become a TV star, loved by millions? Bristol, England, in the 1960s, was a city choked with factory smoke. James May was born on January 16, 1963, into an ordinary working-class family. His father managed an aluminum plant, always drained from night shifts. His mother raised 4 kids on a tight budget. They weren't starving, but there was never extra. James shared a bedroom with his siblings, wore hand-me-downs, and new toys were something he only dreamed about. Neighborhood kids flaunted shiny bikes, while James sketched cars on bits of paper, wondering, could I ever turn my life around? James once said he was a kid who was nothing special, not good at sports, not great at school, just invisible. At Caerleon Endowed School, and later Oakwood in Rotherham, he blended into the background. Teachers complained he was dreamy, weak at math and writing. His father, frustrated by work, often snapped, "Stop daydreaming, James, and study." But James escaped to a corner, tinkering with broken radios or old cassette players. To him, if he could fix those, maybe he could fix his life, even just a little. Things got tougher when the family moved to Rotherham when James was 10. At his new school, kids mocked his patched clothes. Once, older boys cornered him outside the gate, shoving him to the ground, laughing. Poor kid James ran home, heart heavy, feeling like he belonged nowhere, even at home. His busy parents barely noticed him. Then came the winter when he was 13, the coldest James ever knew. Their house lost power for a week. No heater, no hot water. The family warmed themselves with candles and thin blankets. James sat huddled in the dark, back against the wall, he later recalled. That night, I told myself, if this is it, I'll never change anything. The worst part wasn't the cold, it was knowing no one believed he could amount to anything. His mother's words, "Keep going," James echoed, but he knew only he could change his fate. But dreams don't pay rent. In a world that offered no breaks, could a quiet kid like James May really turn the tables? At 20 years old, James May worked in a hospital basement, hauling files and punching time cards. Who'd guess that man would one day drive supercars on TV? But in that stuffy room, James faced a crossroads: settle for safety or chase a dream no one believed in. After graduating from Lancaster University with a music degree called useless by his father, James entered the world empty-handed. No connections, no plan, no job in his field. He took whatever came: clerical work, freelance tech writing, hospital secretary. Every day blurred into the next paperwork, fax machine hum, cold lunch in a plastic container. He lived in a rundown apartment, scraping by on rent, riding creaky buses to save cash. His friends were settling down banking jobs, buying homes, getting married. But at 27, James was still adrift. He joked, "I didn't have a plan B because I didn't even know what plan A was." Deep down, he feared living a life that wasn't his. His parents urged him to find a real job, saying writing was a pipe dream. During phone calls home, James could only muster, "I'm trying." In 1992, James was sacked from Autocar magazine over a silly prank. He'd hidden a message in an article. Short on ideas, a small mistake, but it cost him his job. He recalled that rainy day, his flat dark from a power cut. James wrote pitches for other magazines by candlelight, hands shaking from hunger and cold. He told himself, "If I stop, I've got nothing." It felt like standing at a line: keep going or give up forever. Earlier, He'd auditioned for a TV show but was rejected for a boring voice. He wondered, am I wasting my time? But in 1998, a break came with Driven. James was nervous on camera, terrified of flubbing lines. Yet viewers liked his honest storytelling. In 1999, the original Top Gear called, and by 2003, he shone alongside Clarkson and Hammond. Nearing 40, his nickname Captain Slow stuck because he was deliberate, meticulous, and often got lost, but that's exactly why fans remembered him. Many think Top Gear was James's first success, but for him, it was the first stage where he was truly heard. Does starting late mean it's too late or just the right time for someone who never quit? James May once shivered in a powerless house, eating cold sandwiches in a shabby flat. Now he sits in air-conditioned studios in Tokyo, sipping green tea before 4K cameras just to talk about strolling through old neighborhoods. The contrast is staggering, especially when you consider his estimated fortune, about $40 million. His career truly took off in 2003 with the rebooted Top Gear, alongside Clarkson and Hammond. He created a global phenomenon not because of supercars, but their quirky chemistry, slow but precise. That era earned him roughly $6 million a year from Top Gear alone, later climbing to about £7.2 million annually, around $9 to $10 million from the Grand Tour on Amazon Prime. Beyond TV, James wrote over 15 books, produced YouTube videos, and invested in series like Our Man in Japan and Oh Cook, all bolstering his wealth. By 2025, his net worth holds steady at $40 million. From scraping by on a few £100s a month, chasing a music dream, to buying supercars without hesitation, James's transformation is remarkable. But what endears him to fans isn't his wealth, it's how he stays true to Captain Slow, never chasing flashiness. From a few £100s a month to tens of millions in assets, James May's journey is extraordinary. But mansions and supercars are just the backdrop. What defines him is how he lives amid wealth, simply, thoughtfully, never losing himself. And that's the luxurious life of James May we're about to step into. James May once shared a bedroom with 3 siblings in a frigid, unheated house. Now he lives in a super home in the heart of London, where every glass window opens to a private sky and every room is a quiet haven for Captain Slow. His main home is in Hammersmith, West London, a classic, pricey neighborhood in the early 2000s. He bought 2 adjacent houses for about £635,000, then spent years merging them into one space now worth over £3 million, or roughly $3.8 million. The home embodies slow but steady, every brick hand-picked by James, every appliance from brands he trusts, not for cost, but durability. The open living room has high ceilings, solid English oak floors, and natural light flooding through full-length front windows. Walls display vintage car sketches, black and white Top Gear photos, and a piano near the wine rack, a nod to his shelved music dreams. The kitchen, featured in Oh Cook, is a modern cooking studio with Bosch appliances and an Italian marble-veined countertop, yet understated. "I don't like things too shiny," he once said. "I just need it to work." James also owns a countryside retreat in Warwickshire, worth about £770,000, more than a getaway. It has a garage with professional restoration tools, where he polishes vintage cars like it's meditation. Weekends find him and Sarah there, gardening, sipping afternoon tea, or strolling old village lanes. The bedroom still holds a photo of James with his parents, a reminder that every journey starts small. Both properties reflect one thing: James doesn't build homes to show off. He builds them to live at his chosen pace. No excess rooms, no constant guests, just quiet, tidy spaces for his curious mind to roam. He could afford a Mayfair penthouse or Mediterranean villa, but James chooses the home he rebuilt himself, like the cassette players he fixed as a kid. It's the house of a man who doesn't rush but knows exactly where he's headed. So for someone so minimalist, why is James smitten with cars from Rolls-Royce to Ferrari, perhaps? For him, each car isn't just an asset, but an untold story. They know James May as Captain Slow, driving slow, talking slow, living slow. But his garage isn't dull. It's a layered symphony, each car carrying a piece of him, from the boy who dismantled gadgets to the 60-year-old man hand-washing cars on weekends. His Ferrari 458 Speciale, worth about $400,000, is a standout. While others buy Ferraris for speed, James loves its active aerodynamics. It responds to the wind like a living thing. He personalized the license plate with S10WM for Slow-May, poking fun at himself. In contrast is his 1952 Morris Minor Traveler, cream with pale green, valued at about $15,000, which James calls the kindest car ever made. He keeps the chipped paint on the back door, noting in a video, "That's from slamming it too hard when I learned I didn't get my first TV hosting gig." A quirky touch, James fits vintage radios into modern cars. He hates Bluetooth, saying FM radio makes a car less lonely. His Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, worth about $60,000, is a prime example, instead of car fresheners. He keeps a tattered Haynes repair manual inside, a nod to the tinkerer he was before fame. He also owns a Tesla Model S Performance, near $100,000, not for its blazing acceleration but for its per-wheel torque control, which piqued his curiosity. In true James fashion, he disabled autopilot and added a convex interior mirror, grumbling, "I hate feeling watched by machines." To others, his collection is odd, eclectic, off-trend, not investment-driven, but to James, each car is a memory wrapped in metal, oil, and time. Some are rewards, some are mementos, some just make him feel he's not slipping away in a world moving too fast. But fast or slow, no one dodges unexpected crashes. For James, it was when scandal hit, teammates split, and he wondered, should I stop here? James May could spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on supercars, but most days, he cooks his own meals, drives alone, and lives with the only partner he's ever acknowledged for over 2 decades, without a marriage certificate. Despite being a TV millionaire, James never lives like a celebrity. No private driver, no assistant, no glitzy parties. His routine hasn't changed much in years: mornings writing, afternoons filming cooking or electronics projects, evenings reading, often about planes, mechanics, or history. He once quipped, "People think TV is glamorous. Mostly, I'm just fiddling with charger cords." He'll splurge on a Ferrari but wears the same style of button-up shirt for years. He dislikes unnecessary flash. His fridge always has craft beer, his pantry holds homemade bread, and his living room boasts a high-end sound system wired by him. For James, luxury isn't about price tags, it's about things working as he intends. Personally, James lives with Sarah Frater, a renowned choreographer, since 2000. They're unmarried, childless, but steadfast. James once said, "I'm not against marriage, I just don't need a wedding to know who I'll stick with." Sarah stays out of the spotlight but reads every draft James writes and is the only one who can get him to pause talking. With enough wealth to live anywhere, James stays in London in the home he rebuilt himself. He drives to work, chats with neighbors, and sometimes signs books for middle-aged fans at the pub he co-owns. Rich, famous, but never loud. James May's life isn't for show, it's for living slowly, deliberately, and true to himself. A seemingly perfect life, but no one navigates 3 decades of TV without stumbling. So what nearly pushed James to quit, and why, after it all, does he still hold fans' affection today? At the height of fame, James May faced a choice no one envies: stay behind alone or leave with the friend who just sparked the biggest scandal in British TV history. It was a moment that could have ruined everything or proved he's a man who doesn't abandon his mates. In 2015, after an internal clash, Jeremy Clarkson was fired from Top Gear for striking a producer during filming. It wasn't just shocking news, it was a sudden turning point for James May. After over 12 years together, he had to decide: stay with BBC, where he had a secure spot, or follow Clarkson, the friend who often caused trouble but was an essential part of their legendary trio. James chose to leave. No fanfare, no statements. He simply refused to sign a new contract. He said, "Top Gear is 3 people. Without Jeremy, it's not the same." Many praised his loyalty, but others criticized. James May has no personality of his own. Once, reading that comment, he just smiled. "Maybe they're right, but I know who I am." Years later, when Brexit stirred fierce debate across the UK, James publicly supported staying in the EU, a stance that drew heavy backlash. In a video response, he didn't lash out, saying calmly, "We won't always agree, But staying silent means no one knows what you think. A lesser-known challenge. James has been a licensed pilot since 2006. During a test flight, he faced a scare when the engine faltered mid-air. No panic, no distress call. James quietly made an emergency landing in a field, then took a taxi home. "That's when I knew I'm not one to let go easily," he later shared. James isn't one for stirring scandals, but he's weathered every storm with the traits once called dull patience, honesty, and no rush to please anyone.
So after it all, friends departing, public backlash, a near-death scare, what does James May leave for his audience, and why do people still remember him? Not for noise, but for an unforgettable quiet. No headlines, no shock quotes, no tabloid affairs. Yet James May remains one of Britain's most beloved figures for over 2 decades. Perhaps because he's the clearest proof that living slow doesn't mean living small.
James's mark goes beyond iconic Top Gear seasons or the memorable lost detours of the Grand Tour. He's written over 15 books, from car guides like May on Motors to culinary adventures in O Cook and quirky travels like Oz and James's Big Wine Adventure. They don't sell because of gossip, they sell because readers trust his voice, slow, genuine, unpretentious. In 2010, he received an honorary doctorate from Lancaster University, where he studied music, the useless degree his father once mocked. The circle closed quietly but powerfully. Beyond media, James supports causes like breast cancer care, cats protection, the Felix Project, and notably, Armonico Consort, bringing music to elderly dementia patients. He once played piano at a nursing home, saying, "No one forgets a melody they loved." To middle-aged and older fans, James May isn't just a presenter, he's a companion. He doesn't preach living fast, but shows that moving at your own pace can lead to success, with enough persistence. At 61, he still writes, cooks, explores the world via YouTube, and remains the same James May he always was. No need to change for the crowd, just keep going, his way. So what about you? What dream are you still chasing? Even when others have given up, share your story in the comments below. You might just inspire someone else.